If there is one thing that writers learn, well, then that's rubbish, isn't it? We're writers, we should be learning all the time. All right, okay. But one of the many things that writers learn is that sometimes it's the very smallest moments that we write that can have the biggest impact. I'd like to kind of show you that the Mac equivalent. This is the smallest app I've used all year, and yet it's the one that has become the newest crucial aid to my writing work. I mean, last year, never heard of it. This year, can't really do without it. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which as always, it's for writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads. Do subscribe, because, there's always so much to talk about, isn't there? We have so much to go over on these things. This time, it's specifically about a Mac app called Bunch. As hard as I'm sure it was for the developer to write, for us, for you and me as writers who use it, I really don't think Bunch could be any simpler. Or at least it starts off preposterously simple. You can go off down all sorts of rabbit. You will. I have. I'm still, yeah. Actually, tell you what, let me show you the end of the rabbit hole. Let me show you where Bunch has taken me after a few weeks of using it. Let's say I'm right here in my Office Mac, but I've been writing a script in Final Draft, and now time I need to swap over and start working on an article for Apple Insider. Because I need a lot of apps for Apple Insider, but actually, let me just do this. Can I just go here? Right, they're all still there, but I've just seen them for a second because I want you to also see that, yeah. Well, firstly, the script I was working on, that's gone. Final Draft is closed. And you saw there was Slack, there was Safari, there's my calendar, there's actually an imaging editing app in the background. Pixelmator Pro was there. Don't need it now, do need it later. And even though, I want you to see this as well, the wallpaper has changed. There is a practical thing to that. I may well, for Apple Insider, be taking screenshots to illustrate features or news articles or something. And if I do, well, then it should really have the regular macOS Monterey desktop. But for everything else, I mean, for script writing, for most things I do, really, I don't want to think about the Mac desktop. I don't really want all that purple in my face. I want to get on with my work. And I love the blue glass wallpaper that I use on everything else. So as much there is that practical side to this wallpaper thing, it's also just really good for me as a writer. I mean, I was doing scripts, I'm now doing Apple Insider, or for the next minute, maybe I'm doing stuff for, maybe I'll go back to script writing. Look at that wallpaper. Or maybe actually I'm working on various things to do with my business, or actually no, this, you and me, talking to you over YouTube. Each thing I do, I'm at the same Mac, but it requires a different set of apps. It requires different documents, different folders, and Bunch lets me just switch bodily over to the set that I need for what I'm doing right now, what I want to concentrate on right now. So as well as having all of the tools that I actually need instantly there, I've also shed all of the tools, all of the apps that I don't need anymore. And it really, very much, it helps me mentally switch gears. This is what I'm doing right now. This is all that I'm doing right now. Bunch helps with that. I said Bunch was the simplest app, or at least that it begins as the simplest. Here's what a Bunch looks like. Bunch, the app itself, it's a menu bar app. If I can tap one of these numbers and it opens up, well, in the background it does all these things, but it's doing it by opening up a file that looks like this. This is a plain text file and it has the name of an app in it. If I run this as a Bunch, well, that one app opens and that's it. That's what you need to know, really. Actually, that's what you need to do. You won't ever create a Bunch that has just one app in it, because if you were only going to spend the day living in Apple Pages or Microsoft Word, well, you just open your word processor of choice. You wouldn't open an app like Bunch to open it. Yeah. But when you have two apps that you use, or folders or files, here's a Bunch with Pages and Mail. Pages and Mail and Safari. Only actually this is starting to get a bit messy. Screen's starting to fill up with things. I want Mail open, but I don't need to see it all the time. Like I don't need Pixelmator Pro open all the time. I need it, but I need to see it. But if I type the underscore after the word Mail, well, that tells Bunch, please open Mail and hide it in the background. Or actually Bunch also says I can begin my whole bunch with this at symbol, and it should clear the screen of all apps before it starts opening new ones. And then lastly, actually, I can prefix an app with the at symbol, and it should end up that this is the app. Out of all the ones you've opened, this is one that's front and center. Your Mac is focused on that app, ready for you to do things. I keep saying things should happen. They don't always. There are some apps that just do not play nice, and there is nothing Bunch can do about it. I mean, all right, it can always launch the apps, it can always quit them, but it can't always persuade them to hide neatly away in the background for you. It's just the apps haven't been done right. With some apps, that's just the way it is, and there is nothing you can do about it. Nothing the developer of Bunch can do either. With others, well, it turns out it rather depends sometimes on how long they take to open. So you'll fiddle with what you put where in your list until it opens in just the way you want and shows them in just the way you want them to. Completely unnecessary fiddling, but you're going to do it. Also, Bunch, it does not do anything with window management. You saw in the Apple Insider example that there are all of these apps opened that I need for Apple Insider. Bunch does that, that's fine. But it wasn't Bunch that arranged them into the order that I've decided I like. And as it happens, I use Keyboard Maestro for that, which is another story. To start with, all you do is write a list of apps in Bunch, or actually even simpler than that. First, open all the apps you want, and then use Bunch's new Bunch with Open Apps feature. And it's done. It will always open all of those for you. Now, and then if you want, you can add things about hiding this app, put it in the background, or focusing this one because it's the one you want to concentrate on first. I don't really want to call this a problem. It's not even a little snag, but it's a thing, and it's a thing you will find with Bunch very quickly. Open a Bunch, right, and all of your apps for that job, they launch. Fine. Open a different Bunch because you're swapping to a completely different task and all of the apps in that new second Bunch open, and all of the apps in the first Bunch close. But there are apps, aren't there, that you don't ever want to close. I mean, I mentioned Keyboard Maestro. That's the thing that always runs in the background. I have several of those things. Open it up once, I want it all day. But even just in sort of general use, I'm as likely to need to send an email when I'm writing a script as when I'm working on my business, for example. So you can tell Bunch to open an app and to not close it again. By default, right, you choose a Bunch and it opens all of your apps. Then if you either choose the same Bunch again, kind of toggle it off, or you pick a different one, the first thing Bunch does is close all of the first set of apps. But here's that Bunch list again, and now some of those apps, they're prefixed with a % sign. Just add that, and that tells Bunch to open this app if it isn't already open, and leave it alone. Don't close it afterwards, no matter what happens. And that's all you need to do. I mean, I suppose at the end of the day you have to close them yourself, but yeah. It surprised me, actually, how long it's taken me to get these little bits straight. I mean, just the % symbol, the at symbol. But I think that's less to do with Bunch and more because of thinking about what apps do I need when. Also, do I need certain documents open? What Finder windows would it be helpful to have? As far as telling Bunch what I need, that's been remarkably straightforward. Chiefly because Bunch has really, truly excellent documentation online. I read, for example, that you could do that thing of changing your wallpaper, but I didn't know how to do it. So I looked up the documentation and I copied the line out, pasted it into a Bunch, fiddled with it so that the name matched the wallpaper name of mine, and it was done. And now it just always does it. I've also added Bunches to Stream Deck here so that I can just press a button. So press a button on there or tap a keystroke, which actually out of habit I'm doing most of all, or click in the menu bar. Anything you like, up to you, off it goes. And despite the simplicity, you can end up spending a lot of time fiddling and trying out these new options. Do you want dark mode to turn on, for example? Okay. There's a way to tell Bunch which of your Macs you're on right now and to do different things depending on them. And I haven't actually figured that one out yet. So far I have a set that works here in my Office Mac and a different set that I use on my MacBook Pro. But I create them on either machine and they're available on both straight away. You've seen apps open and you've seen the wallpaper change. I really like that. I don't know why I like it so much. I've also mentioned that you can have certain Finder windows open, and I do that. I have an image drop folder I use in certain jobs, and that's in some of the bunches. You can also have specific documents open, and I don't tend to do this, but if I were, for example, writing a book, so a project, same document for a long time, I could have it so that a bunch opens Pages and that manuscript all at once. And then there's this. When I run the bunch I use for script writing, it also automatically turns on a writing focus mode. This is the separate Mac feature, focus mode feature on Macs that lets me, for example, say, no, I don't want to be interrupted by messages or mail, not unless it's from my editor or producer, please. I haven't got as much into Mac focus modes as I thought I would when they were introduced last year, 2021, but I think I'm going to now, partly as the forthcoming macOS Ventura and iOS 16 draw ever closer, and since they both have significant improvements in focus modes, but also actually because of Bunch. Set up a writing focus mode once, know that Bunch will just turn it on and turn it off again when I'm done. It means, just for example, at about 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. in the morning, I can just sit down with my Mac, tap a button, and have everything I need for the script writing I need to do, and nothing else happened. No other apps going on that I don't need, no other interruptions coming in that I don't want. And then when I'm done with that, when I've finished concentrating and I can move on, well, then I can have all the interruptions I need. I can switch to the next part of my day, all with a click or a keystroke or a button press, because of Bunch. Have you gathered that I really like Bunch? Say, how much would you pay for... No, I don't want to do the salesman. Cut that. Bunch is actually free. I mean, no, not quite true. It's actually donateware. You get it for free. You use it for free. And if you like it, and you will, then you send the developer some cash. You're certainly going to like it. I mean, you can see how much I relish this, and you can see how it'd be useful for you. I don't actually ever know how much to pay when it's pay what you like, so I chucked the guy $10, and already that seems very little for all that I get for it. Go check it out for yourself. There's no trial version. You just get the whole app for free. Off you pop from bunchapp.co. Notice, by the way, that it's .co, not .com. I'm continuing to fiddle. I'm certainly continuing to adjust and things. Right now, I'm a little uncertain about when I do leave one bunch and start another. I haven't entirely figured out absolutely everything I do want to move over and I don't want to. I'm still, and also I'm still playing with focus modes and things. But 6-8 weeks in, I am beyond hooked on Bunch. Bunch is such a small thing, isn't it? But I spend a lot of time trying out new writing apps, new writing tools, and actually it's surprisingly rare for something to make its way in, to become a key part of my writing business. And that's certainly, it's incredibly rare for it to become so key so quickly. Love Bunch. That's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Now take care of yourself, Write more, and I'll see you soon.